Hi, I'm Daniel, and Dan from UK Bike Fit has asked me to come down today to talk through my perfect training bike spec. Now, Dan, I did slightly misunderstand the brief because I am in full cycling kit underneath here, so I'm ready to do anything you want me to do on this bike, but I think we're just talking about the spec
take this off and go half kit, half joggers.
No, nobody needs to see that. So here it is. What do you want to know?
All right, so tell us what the bike is then and what you use it for, because it's set up in a particular way, let's say.
Particular is a good description, Dan. Right, so this is a 2022 Canyon Ultimate CFSL. It doesn't have the Ultimate branding on the top too because I have had this repainted, started life as a red bike. We all know that red bikes are slow, so I wanted a bluey, greeny, purple one, which is clearly faster. And yeah, I basically built it up from a box of parts found on Facebook Marketplace and eBay and various random bits to be.
So the paint job's actually pretty nice, isn't it? Like from a custom job.
So you've come into this thinking I'm going to critique this bike, but actually I'm going to turn you around here and you're going to love this. Yes, the bike was painted by a friend of mine who runs a car body shop, doesn't do it commercially, but is a bike rider. So he's done a good job, like the lettering's painted in, all the stickers and that sort of stuff.
I don't know if you can tell from that camera angle, but it's like iridescent, isn't it? So it changes colour as you go along. I don't mind the paint job. Most of your blue bikes look ugly, so I'm not exactly the biggest fan of blue bikes, but I'd go with this because it's a little bit different.
Yeah, if you like the bike colour that you ride, I think it improves your morale, and I think that improves performance, genuinely.
Sure, however you want to justify it. I don't know about making it faster because it's probably caked in multiple layers of heavy paint.
Yeah. So talk about group set.
Yeah.
I'm having to look because I couldn't quite remember. SRAM Rival AXS 2x. I've got a 1036 rear cassette, a 4837 chain set, a gold chain, so that's got to be fast. Basically a big range of gears. We live in the Peak District. I'm hardly ever in the 4810 if I'm honest. I spend a lot of time in the Little Ring. But yeah, I think that's a good range of gears for where we live.
Yeah, I've got a Rival 2x chain set on one of my bikes and really like it. It's sort of faultless really. It's a little bit heavy for a group set, isn't it? But for what the bike is and what I use mine for, it doesn't matter. As you've got it set up with tri-bars, I presume you're training TT position on this bike as well, or?
Sometimes.
Right.
To me, those, yes, they're good for me, so I do triathlons and time trials for a little bit of position training, but the reality is that this isn't that close to my time trial and triathlon position. What they are good for is, when I get dropped, chasing back on, and just a different position to be in. When you're riding a long distance, this is my all day, everyday bike. If I'm going out for a 5, 6, 7 hour ride, to have another position to sit in does actually help take the pressure off the hands and wrists and so on.
Okay, because that was going to be my big point around using it as a triathlon bike. I mean, would you ever race this bike in a tri?
Yeah, I have done. I raced it in last year at the Brutal Triathlon because it was a 7 hour ride, and I know I physically couldn't ride my time trial bike for 7 hours. This I can, so yes, I did.
Okay, all right. Because then the gearing then becomes a little bit more like it's basically a climbing gear set.
Yeah, it was a really hilly triathlon, so a lot of it lent itself towards this being the right setup. If it was a flat race, this isn't optimal in any way, really.
Yeah. And you're not going for the same position that you'd get on your TT bike or on your tri bike.
No, I mean the actual angle of me being leant over is similar, but you just can't get I can't get the front end narrow enough. I can't get my hands high enough. It's a different bike to ride as well. It feels different to turn it and to stop it, so it's more relaxed like this. But I think it is as good as I could hope for on a climbing bike. And when I'm on it, I find I can hold 22, 23 miles an hour on the flat in zone 2, so it's pretty decent.
Saddle.
So saddle is a Physique Aliante VS. They don't actually make these anymore.
Nope.
But I found a brand new one on Facebook and I really get on with it. I know that I need to find a new saddle to get on with, and I might be stealing some off of your wall back here because at some point I'm going to not be able to find new ones of these, but I really get on with them. They never cause many problems, so I just stuck it on. It's even okay when I'm spending a lot of time in TT position. So nice little bit, nice decent cutout. I did find that the old one that I was using, I think they got bedded in for a few years.
You bedded yourself?
Yeah, this felt very different for the first few months. Now it's a bit more supple and it's, I don't know, bedded in as such, but...
Yeah. I mean, saddles they're probably one of the saddles that don't seem to suit loads of people.
Right.
They're quite particular in the people that they do suit.
Okay.
Loads of people bring him in with problems and bring them in because they're having issues with them, like let me do saddle mapping.
Right, when they bring them in, take them and I'll have them.
Yeah, do a saddle exchange.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about this is a slightly set back seat post. So I've had to slam the seat forward to get what I think is my position. I'd like an inline really.
But you got a round post, so you can just stick any old seat post in there and have an inline post.
Yeah, I have got one of those split ones as well in a box somewhere, but I've just not got around to swapping it.
Yeah, they're a nightmare, but I'd get a like normal carbon post and have one in line, and you'll have your pick of whatever you want to choose because it's a nice round post. Yeah, probably.
Okay. Group set related brakes. Got some Hope RX4 4-pot calipers. I mainly got these because they look pretty bling.
Because they're blue.
Yeah, and the other thing is, so for the set of calipers, they're £200, and you get 2 sets of brake pads. So if you're looking at a set of normal brake pads at £25 a pair, in my mind, it's £100 worth of brake pads for £200. So I was like, well, and because I was starting from scratch, it was like a better value purchase.
Yeah, you've used this justification to
basically, yes, exactly. I think these are actually too strong. They're off-road brakes. They're like gravel and mountain bike brakes. When you're used to rim brakes or used to normal disc brakes, I grab too much brake, I scrub too much speed off, and I'm actually a lot slower because of it. They're also, I find them a bit squealy. The standard pads, and there's another guy in our club who's got the same ones, squeal like mad. And it's just, they're the road pads that should be fine. The front one, the pad retaining clip rattles a little bit, and it's just, they're not what I'd hoped that they would be.
Pun not intended. No.
Yeah, exactly.
But for a £200 set of brakes, you'd expect a little bit more, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're harder to set up as well. On the normal Shaman Shimano, you just loosen the bolts off, yank the lever, tighten them up. You have to do it slightly differently. I had to get somebody else to do it for me, so not as easy to install, and I'm not looking forward to a brake pad change, but they do look cool. And Alex Dowsett uses them.
Oh, well, that's 10 watts already. Wheels?
So the wheels are the Veta Passare 44mm. They're a 27 or 28mm internal and 32 external, so they're pretty wide. They're like an all-road wheel set, but the reason I wanted these is because I'm using 32mm tyres. The frame allows 32s, so I wanted the widest wheels without going stupidly wide that I could. They're built strong for a heavier rider like myself, and I think it makes the 32s not look ridiculous on the wheel.
Yeah. And
it's supposed to be faster when they're a similar width, but I just wanted it to not look completely stupid, to be honest.
Yeah. You could even get wider in there. You've got plenty of space for a wide tyre.
The problem is that above 32, you can't get your normal tyres. Like I've got GP 5000S's, you just want them off the shelf. Whereas if I was going bigger than that, there's not as much choice. And I think 32 is big enough. I run probably 55, 60 PSI, and it's really comfy, and I really like it.
Yeah. 2 power meters.
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, the crank just came with one arm. There's only a single-sided, and I already had these pedals, so I just run the pedals. I even noticed when I was wheeling the bike in here, the red light was flashing on the crank, so I've not even took the battery out. So I should probably take the battery out and save the weight of a AAA battery. Yeah, I mean, would I change if no one came up? Maybe. It's just, they're not really worth that much money, so it's not even worth taking it off and selling it and buying another crank.
Yeah.
I have recently bought another crank, but even then, it's still not worth me changing it as for another bike. So actually using the Garmin Rally 2 pedals, not Rally 2, Garmin Rally pedals. These have been great, about 2 years old. However, they're ready for bearings. They're pretty stiff, as you can see. They're not like absolutely done in, but they're definitely not optimal. You can't just change the bearings. You have to buy new pedal bodies. I think they're about £100 a side. So not amazing in my opinion. I've got some Favera Asiomas on another bike, and you just pay for the bearings. They're still about 80 quid all in, but that's half the price maintenance wise, and you can just change the bearings.
Yeah. All in all, there's not a lot to absolutely roast about this bike at all. Like I say, I would use tri-bars a little bit differently personally.
Yeah.
But I thought fit for purpose.
I thought you'd really like the fact that I changed the cockpit.
Well, I'm trying not to mention that you've cut the steer and the cockpit and all the rest.
Oh, I didn't cut it. It came like that.
Sure.
Second-hand bikes come pre-fitted. No, it did. But I changed it from being an integrated cockpit to a standard bar and stem so that I could adjust it if I needed to.
Okay. Nice.
See, I do listen every now and again.
Yeah, sometimes. It should be said that I've not fitted you to this bike or fitted you to many bikes.
Well, I'm not honest, you don't have to make an excuse.
But, you wouldn't listen to me anyway, so we'll not go there.
I absolutely would. All the things I've got on the bike, Dan, is, so I'll go through the electronic stuff. I've got the SRAM blips on the end of the time trial bar, so I can change gears on the end. great for time trial position. More than anything, if you're out in the peaks and the battery dies, I've got another option here. If I can shift the battery dies, I can still change gear. I've got the cyclic cameras front and rear. You and I have both experienced some things out on the road, haven't we? So we know that they're beneficial for recording things. They're also built-in lights, so I know that I've always got a front and rear light on my bike. If we're going out on a dusk evening, it's dropping dark, then I know I've got some lights on to turn on. They're about half a kilo in total combined, so not great for a climbing bike, but I'm not built to be a climber, so I'm not losing too much stress over that. I've got a big saddlebag. You actually told me to remove it for this video, but again, just spares in so that I can get around whatever ride I'm doing. I was only out on a ride last weekend and somebody got a puncture and then said, oh, I've not got everything like needed. So you've not just got to think about yourself, you've got to think about somebody might be out on a ride and have multiple punctures, so I carry 2 tubes rather than one. Those sorts of things.
Exactly. Such a great ride. Yeah.
I'd never give you like a tubulito, but I'd definitely give you like a...
Give me any tube for free anyway.
I'll give you a patch. There you go, Dan. Good luck gluing that one back down. So that's built to be able to get to the end of a ride. I think that is about it. Tyres, the GP5000S's, they're supposed to be like the more sportier ones, but they were just on offer in a 32, so they were cheaper than the bog standard 5000s. Supposed to roll slightly better, but it doesn't really make a huge difference to me. When these are worn out, I'd probably go for the 5000s rather than the S's if they were cheaper, but it just depends what's on offer at the time. Do you want to go?
No, that'll be too high.
Yeah, that's my Canyon Ultimate CFSL. If you've got one of these, let Dan know in the comment section down below how good they are, because I still feel like you're not fully convinced. But you've never ridden a Canyon before, have you?
Never owned a Canyon. No. I wouldn't mind a Canyon. I actually quite like the old Canyon Air Road, the rim brake Canyon Air Road. Always wanted a Canyon Air Road.
I know somebody who's got one for sale.
I know, but you're too expensive for me. And you're not my size.
Okay.
So, but yeah, those bikes I really liked, and as a lightweight aero bike, especially for racing at the time when I was doing more crits and stuff, that would have been ideal.
Without the bars on, and without the cameras on, and without the saddlebag on, this is about 8.2, 8.3 kilos.
Yeah, so they're really good. I mean, as far as like numbers go, Canyons have always been good for like, when you look at the weight, when you look at the stats versus the price, they've always been very competitive. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind riding a Canyon at all. Just never had the opportunity.
What a fanboy.